you know, either younger than us or, you know, passed and retired. So why not? You know, I want to challenge myself. The best always looking to fight the best and challenge themselves, you know, and why not, you know, challenge.
Terence Crawford can't beat him, right? This is a money grab for Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy.
But if you study Floyd closely, like I have, you will notice that he never wastes any steps while he's in the ring.
Terence Crawford reportedly accepted Floyd Mayweather's fight offer during a live interview with Stephen A. Smith, explaining that for him, boxing is about testing limits and taking on challenges no matter how big they are, emphasizing that the best should fight the best and he's ready to step up once again. And with calm confidence, he made it clear that facing Mayweather is another way for him to prove himself and push beyond every expectation.
Man, because this is Terence the businessman talking, right? They got to pay the cheddar to make it better, right?
For sure, for sure. All money ain't good money, so you got to know that.
Okay, fair enough. I hate to use the word easy, but at times it did feel like you were, you know, having a really easy time out there. Were you expecting it to play out that way?
Listen, it's never easy, you know.
Stephen A. Smith has always been outspoken in his sports coverage, and boxing is no exception. When he praises Terence Crawford for becoming a champion in 4 different weight divisions, it's not just a casual compliment, but recognition of a rare achievement in modern boxing. In an era where many fighters hesitate to move across divisions due to the risks, Crawford's dominance at 4 different weights puts him in a unique category. Stephen A. emphasizes that this level of versatility and success cements Crawford as an all-time great pound-for-pound fighter, showcasing not only his physical adaptability, but also his technical mastery, mental toughness, and relentless drive to keep testing himself against the toughest competition.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford.
Roy Jones Jr., a legend who understands what it takes to dominate across divisions, spoke highly of Terence Crawford's brilliance, noting how in the Canelo fight, he borrowed from the arsenals of Floyd Mayweather and Erislandy Lara, both of whom had troubled Canelo in different ways. Jones explained that Crawford's ability to study, observe, and then apply effective strategies proves he's not just a skilled fighter, but also a sharp student of the sport. What impressed him most was that Crawford didn't simply copy, but adapted those techniques into his own rhythm, making them even more effective in real time. This level of adaptability, Jones stressed, is what separates Crawford from many fighters who stick to one style and struggle when facing elite opposition.
As Canelo Alvarez has been a great fighter his whole career, people like Erislandy Lara gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. People like Floyd Mayweather also gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. But Bud is more fierce, more fearsome and more angrier and more meaner than both of those guys. So you know if they showed you the blueprint, Bud gonna go out there, take that blueprint and do even more with it, which is what Bud did. So it was never a question in my mind whether Bud really was going to outbox me, just if he could take the punch. And right away he showed, bam, he could take the punch. So I knew from that point, if he just slow him down, which he did, he'd be okay. Then late in the fight, what other people still didn't see, late in the fight, Bud started hitting Canelo's body. One of those body shots, I think about the 7th or 8th round, hurt Canelo. I was like, whoa. Bud hit him in the right spot then, and he got Canelo's respect with that too. So Bud fought a very, very awesome fight, fought a beautiful fight, very tactical.
Very controlled.
Yes, it was a beautiful fight for boxing.
It was a beautiful fight. You know, Bud got hit with some shots.
He did. He did.
He got hit with some single shots going out. You know, he's going out and you know Canelo, if he has you trapped in the corner or along the ropes, it's typically 1 to 2 big shots. You know that if you've watched him.
Yep.
So you could tell Crawford, as he was going out, he knew the one shot was coming, and several times it landed. He even got hit with a two-piece. I don't remember what round it was. Uppercut right hand that Crawford took well. So when you started seeing him absorb the shots, if you're Team Crawford, you don't want him to take that shot. But if you started seeing that, now you know that, okay. And I think that's what gave Crawford the green light to stay there a little bit longer.
He smiled about it.
He smiled about it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that smile can be a lie. And sometimes that smile can mean what I think it meant for Crawford, which is, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was.
The idea of Terence Crawford stepping into the ring with Floyd Mayweather, even in an exhibition, has stirred heavy debate. Critics argue it could hurt Crawford's legacy, suggesting that after historic wins over Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez, such a fight would look more like a money grab than a pursuit of glory. They point out that Mayweather's recent career has revolved around lucrative exhibitions rather than meaningful legacy bouts, and Crawford has worked too hard to risk being viewed the same way. Still, others believe Crawford's place in history is already secure, and if he chooses to face Mayweather, it would simply add another compelling chapter to his remarkable journey.
It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy. This is what was being said, right? This is what people perceived. Terence Crawford was just attempting to...
When fans compare Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford, the discussion gets complicated. Floyd's resume boasts some of boxing's biggest names, but critics often point to the timing of those wins. Canelo was still green when he fought him. Pacquiao was injured in their 2015 clash, and Floyd's reluctance to grant rematches, especially with Pacquiao, left questions. Crawford, on the other hand, has dominated opponents widely seen as being at their peak. This contrast fuels the ongoing debate over whether Mayweather's flawless record was purely a product of unmatched skill or also the result of calculated timing and matchmaking.
Floyd Mayweather is still greater than Terence Crawford. We need to really talk about this now. A lot of you guys are putting Crawford a bit too high. If you want to say Crawford could beat Floyd, I'm more open to that conversation, but when you're lining up the careers, I'm going to say Floyd every time. While they're both 5 division, Bud has become 3-time undisputed, but he's only fought 10 world champions to Floyd's 25 world champions. You can't take away the 5 division, 3-time undisputed. In terms of accolades, yeah, he probably gets the nod over Floyd. I say their accolades are about relative, considering Floyd Mayweather won Fighter of the Decade as well. But when you get to the resumes, Pacquiao, Oscar, Canelo, Cotto, Mosley, Castillo, Marquez, Zab, Gotti, Hatton, and Corley. There's probably way more people that this guy just didn't name. And then when you get to Bud's resume, not saying it's just bad, but the only names that's really worth mentioning is going to be Spence and Canelo. It's not a knock on Bud. Bud was not able to make those fights early on in his career. But I got to tell you guys what it is. Bud's resume just doesn't line up with Floyd's. Take their top 20 wins. Bud don't even got 20 wins to really sit here and name. Floyd got a good 20-something plus. Bud probably got about 10 wins that we could really sit here and name. Floyd's still greater than Bud in my opinion.
Tony Jeff, a respected boxing analyst, highlighted that Floyd Mayweather's greatest asset wasn't just his defense or speed, but his mindset. Jeff explained that Floyd's unshakable belief in his ability to beat anyone made him truly dangerous. Even in close matchups, his supreme boxing IQ, ability to read opponents, adapt instantly, and remain calm under pressure gave him the edge. This psychological strength, paired with technical brilliance, made Mayweather seem untouchable and is the reason he retired with an unblemished record.
Strong mindset, they're really confident, they really believe in themselves, but you need more than that mindset. You need to have the full package of everything that I'm talking about, what Floyd has got.
Fighters should only want to get better. The more you win, the more you should work harder. If you think about losing, you're going to lose. All I ever thought about was winning. So that's all I know.
Floyd would visualize his success before he even stepped into the ring. There was no alternative to him but winning. And this mindset isn't just for boxing, it's for all walks of life. And I've actually done a full video talking about how I used this mindset of visualization to win my Olympic medal. And it was an absolute game changer. Now, Floyd used to use this mindset to ease the pressure that he put himself under. And he made himself think like, I'm not under any pressure right now, where he was under immense pressure.
Pressure either makes you or break you. Well, you see where I'm at, so it's obvious that I'm the type of athlete or I'm the type of entertainer that can deal with pressure. There's never no pressure.
Now, if you watch his fight in 2013 when he fought Canelo Alvarez Canelo came in a young, strong, undefeated fighter, but by round 2, Floyd kind of had him figured out. He was reading Canelo's jab. He would slip outside and then come back with a clean counter punch, then move his feet and get out of the way. He basically had the full fight under control, and he was controlling the full rhythm of the fight. He was forcing Canelo to fight at his pace. And this is what he would do in all of his fights. He would get his opponent to do what he wanted them to do without their opponent even realizing it, which is what we call boxing IQ. Now, even though I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather personally, because of the time when I did meet him, what he said to me made me just feel like...
The boxing community is buzzing about the possibility of Terence Crawford facing David Benavidez, a matchup that has fans excited due to Benavidez' size, power, and relentless aggression. Many view it as the kind of high-risk challenge that could push Crawford further than any opponent he's faced before. While nothing is official, the speculation highlights how fans crave legacy-defining fights over money-driven exhibitions. A showdown between Crawford and Benavidez would be a true clash of styles, skill versus size, precision versus pressure, making it a dream fight for boxing enthusiasts.
This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on and defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majimov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling from for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7", with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy.
Floyd Mayweather versus Terence Crawford debate may never have a definitive answer. Each fighter represents greatness in his own era. Floyd with an unblemished record and unmatched defensive brilliance, and Crawford with his rare ability to conquer multiple weight divisions while maintaining dominance. Their careers unfolded under very different circumstances, making direct comparisons difficult. What is clear, though, is that both men embody the pinnacle of boxing excellence, and their legacies together set the benchmark for what it means to be truly elite in the sport.
What's going to happen? If Crawford was to win, we're going to be seeing a lot of these debates on whether or not Floyd Mayweather or Terence Crawford is going to be better. Now, this is going to be a debate for a long, long time. I'm talking about one of those debates like LeBron versus MJ, Messi versus Ronaldo. It's one of those. And the thing is, I can get behind it. Let me go ahead and say this. When it comes to resume, I do think we give Floyd Mayweather the edge. I mean, he beat a bunch of champions. He reigned for a long time. While Crawford, his resume is heavily criticized, and he's just not getting, his kind of respect for beating Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez. But if we're talking strictly off of skills, this is where things get really, really tough to talk about. I think a fair assessment of this matchup would be Floyd Mayweather wins from 135 and 140, while Crawford wins from 147 to 154. And I say that because I feel like Floyd's style changed once he got to welterweight. He became a more defensive fighter, and he just wasn't as much focused on offense. And knowing this, I feel like Crawford would have had a much better chance of handling him. And we all know, Crawford was an absolute monster at welterweight. But hey, man, like I said, this is going to be a debate for a very long time. And I can't wait to hear all the talk about it. But I'm curious on your thoughts. Who you think wins in the fight? Floyd or Terence Crawford? Let's talk about it and follow me for more boxing talk.
Greg Hackett's perspective on Crawford's victory over Canelo frames it as more than just another win. It was a symbolic passing of power. By defeating a fighter long regarded as the most dominant force in boxing, Crawford didn't just secure another accolade, he transformed the sport's hierarchy. Hackett's words highlight how Crawford is no longer chasing greatness. He is the standard, the predator at the top of the food chain. That fight marked a turning point, establishing Crawford as the man every contender now has to fear and overcome.
Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, well, so I'm gonna fight. You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Damn. Like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit gotta make sense. Like you said, you beat a shark and then you beat a wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, it is, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me it don't make sense. But that's
really
what
a monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend.
Chill, man.
But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
saying? Your line of suits, get your money, man. Yeah, go ahead and get the easy money, man. You ain't gotta sweat no more.
What's up,
Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat. What's happening? He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's cause when a guy see himself up here and then is fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious and he's like, man, this ain't even that.
That summary captures it perfectly. Crawford's win over Canelo wasn't just another victory, it was the defining statement of his career. Beating Errol Spence showed his mastery at welterweight, but dismantling Canelo, a fighter many thought was unbeatable, placed him firmly in the pantheon of boxing legends. With these back-to-back triumphs, Crawford erased any doubts about his resume, proving he's not just great in his era, but belongs in the conversation with the all-time greats. His dominance across divisions leaves little room for debate. He has proven it in the ring.
Action, and I think Crawford displayed his skill enough, even to someone with not the most trained eye, that they know they saw a very high-level athlete perform something at a very high level last night. I think he gained the sports world's attention last night and respect. He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, but then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay. I saw somebody like, they're squabbing. Like, this is a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't, well, James was talking about the great Floyd Mayweather. Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, he's not going to, but Crawford didn't.
That's it for today's breakdown. Who do you think is the true pound-for-pound king? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.